looks like we are good to go. And good morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel, back with the Wandering Mariner. So today we're talking about the end of democracy. Just joking. There is a lot of political rhetoric that kind of goes on in our society. If you've been around my channel a while, you know that I'm not about mandates. I'm not about lockdowns. I'm all about, your body, your choice. You do you, I do me. And I'm not a conservative. I'm not a liberal. I'm kind of somewhere in between. And I got this question yesterday where it says Project 2025 wants to get rid of MARAD and the Jones Act. And I was like, really? I have not even heard of Project 2025. So I kind of started doing a little bit of research. And this is a very spicy topic when it comes to politics for people, because this Project 2025 is run by a conservative think tank that picked out that list of conservative judges that supposedly Donald Trump was choosing from. And they've come up with this Project 2025 where they're like, hey, for the first 180 days, these are things we recommend that you do as president if you get elected President Trump. And President Trump hasn't endorsed this plan. However, there's lots of people that are anticipating, like Boogeyman, this group, because they put together the list of conservative judges and they are all about different things. So I kind of had to go down a little rabbit hole of political junk to kind of find out what is this all about. And this is what Project 2025 says their policy focus is. And they are under this group called the Heritage Foundation, which is that conservative think tank in Washington, D.C. So this is a bunch of political wonks that are all kind of just making their pitch toward the president of hey, this is what we think you should implement. And they say that their policy is about streamlining federal government, which I'm all about, reducing government spending, which I am all about, enhancing national security, which I think that is good, long as it's financially well spent money to enhance security and not just money grabs and giveaways, which it kind of has been notoriously over the last 20 years since 9/11. Promoting conservative social values, which there's some things that I'm like, yeah, okay, I get that. And then some things I'm like, oh, that's a little bit bridge too far for me. But everybody has their own kind of take on the world, and you do you, boo. Also, judicial reform of appointing conservative judges. And, the fact that our legal system has kind of been overtaken by this lawfare where we are going after political rivals through the legal system is kind of scary to me. I think that it's a road we shouldn't be going down, and I think the Supreme Court overturned a lot of that this last week, and a lot of these cases against President Trump are going to go away, which is good. And I think that a lot of cases that would probably be coming toward President Biden will be knocked down as well, and that's good as well, because this whole go after my political opponent in the courtroom is kind of ridiculous and a waste of time and money. So that's my perspective. But there is the liberal perspective. And, this is the focus points for this Project 2025, or at least what they say they're about. This is the political rhetoric coming from the left. And they say this mandate for leadership that 2025 has, it says it calls for biblical-based definitions of marriage and family. They want to cut renewable energies. They want to have dirty energy products. They want to get rid of reproductive rights. They want more tax breaks for the rich. They want to get rid of the whole Department of Education and repeal the Affordable Care Act, get rid of regulations and with cost-effective solutions, and just all these things, from changing our international position in the world and relations from South Korea, Russia, China, the Kurds, going back and reevaluating our political thing, and kind of there's a neocon aspect of that Project 2025 group, which I don't believe President Trump is a neocon. I think that he wants to get us out of a lot of wars. So I think that there's a lot of things there that I'm not really buying what the Democrats are talking about, but that's them reading into the tea leaves. They go through this document and they're like, oh, that's what they're saying. And, you know, there's a lot of tea leaf reading, and they want to get rid of, you know, all protective discrimination, civil rights protections for people with sexual orientation and gender identity and blah, blah, blah. So just a hot mess. We got 4 more months of this crap. So, but getting back to your question, Mojimoto, Project 2025 wants to get rid of MARAD. And that is, like I said, a lot of tea leaf reading. And what does MARAD even do? So MARAD promotes the Merchant Marine Academy, commercial and military shipping. They ensure that we have a sea lift program. So they kind of are the overseer in a way of it, but that kind of falls under the Department of Defense and Military Sea Lift Command. So Military Sea Lift Command kind of does the operation and stuff, but MARAD is kind of the bean counter of in between. And the thing is, MARAD is already under the umbrella of the Department of Transportation. So they have like 1 foot in each bucket. Like they have 1 foot in the Department of Defense and 1 foot in the Department of Transportation. Now they're under the DOT's thing, but they kind of, you know, they oversee the maritime academies for the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy and the state schools with maritime industry. They promote. They don't do the spending. They don't do the repairs. They don't oversee the repairs of the ports, but they are promoting the usage of these ports, and funding goes to that. And our intermodal transportation systems, which is intermodal is taking it from different transportation aspects, which is kind of like why they're in the DOT. So intermodal is like when you see those huge Conex boxes on ships all stacked up, take those off a ship, put them on a train, because they can just snap right onto a train and they'll be shipped, and then they can take them right off the train and put them on the trailer and put them on the back of a semi-truck and transfer. That's intermodal, that transfer between shipping, rail, and trucking. So when you hear intermodal. Also, they oversee the maritime, or they manage the Maritime Security Program. So the Maritime Security Program is when you get Military Sea Lift Command or some of these pre-positioned ships. Because of pirates over the last 20 years, they've kind of gotten into the business of kind of overseeing, having maritime security officers sent out and whatnot that are part of that ready reserve force. So just operational planning of arranging between the maritime industry and the Navy or other groups, and helping with the surge sea lift capability. So they don't oversee it. It's kind of done by Military Sea Lift Command, but they're kind of the bean counters. They're tracking like what's on what ship and what's used for what and so forth. And when we got kind of pulled into this thing between Hamas and Israel, they built that pier in Gaza that fell apart like 3 times, and they were kind of like, this is a hot mess. That was Sea Lift that built that pier, and that was built by Ready Reserve Forces, guys that are trained as reservists to go out and build that pier. And it was just a bad location, and the environmental didn't really support that type of pier. So, but continuing on, educational and training, they oversee the maritime academies and kind of promote future officers and mariners. And they implemented the Embark program, which is like a student safety program. It's kind of like pagers for cadets. Like if they can communicate with their home base that if they're having any issues out on ship, to make sure they're not sexually harassed or discriminated against, and that they feel safe and everything out there while they're out there, because they're very young and they're in a grown person environment, and some people kind of take advantage of young, youthful, specifically women out there. And there's been a couple cases, so to kind of make sure that that bad press didn't hit the maritime academies, they started this program. Infrastructure development, they administer the port development programs to help enhance that intermodal transfers. Environmental stewardship, they promote environmental sustainability, and promoting it is not overseeing it. The EPA oversees environmental stuff. So they are saying, hey, we should probably do safer things. And it's the political aspect of it all. Economic development, they support small shipyards through grants and fundings. So they oversee grants and fundings to small shipyards. And also they encourage ships to use domestic U.S. flag vessels for domestic and international trade. So this last year, 2024 budget, and in fact, from 2022 to 2026, the MARAD gets $450 million annually for port infrastructural development programs. $92 million went this last year to the Merchant Marine Academy for maintenance, repairs, and infrastructure investments. You know, the annual cost for a Merchant Mariner is like, I'm going to say like $400,000, where they only get them as a reservist, where the U.S. Naval Academy, they get somebody for a 6-year commitment and it costs $500,000. So there's a lot of questions on the viability and the cost effectiveness of the Merchant Mariner Academy and how many graduates they actually have and how much this is actually helping our nation. And that's probably another video altogether. But, and also $53 million this last year went into state schools to help them with ships and maintenance that they have and logistics for their schools. So overall, MARAD has about 800 employees, and that oversees the various programs we just talked about, all the administrative functions, and the operations of the Merchant Marine Academy and the state maritime academies. So this is a very niche group of people that are out there. And again, they are already under the Department of Transportation. Now, if they were, hypothetically, to get rid of MARAD, those duties and responsibilities are not going to go away. It's going to get delved out and split up between probably the DOD, EPA, and the Department of Transportation. And a lot of those people would probably still keep their job. They would just change offices and whatnot. I don't believe that they would just be like 800 people. Maybe so. But I think, that takes Congress to do that. And then it would have to be approved by the president. None of this stuff can be done by the whip of a pen of the president. He can't just say, boom, it's done. There has to be funding. The Congress controls the purse. So the president endorses it or vetoes it. So it would have to make sense. It would have to pass all the political scrutiny, and they would have to have a plan to it. But now that we're in political season, a lot of fear mongering, a lot of people that are just like, the end of days. And when it comes to MARAD and the people that work for MARAD, the Achilles heel of repealing the Jones Act is always the number one thing that when the political time comes, that's the one thing everybody wants to talk about. What happens if we get rid of the Jones Act? Well, to repeal the Jones Act, they would need Congress and the president to do it again. And they would have to deal with all the stakeholders, the shipyard builders, the maritime unions, the national security advocates. All the political wonk out there would have to happen for that to go off. And who would be benefiting to get rid of that? Maybe some foreign shipping companies and some of the port people that are paying for supplies and whatnot, because it would bring down the cost of shipping. However, it would be a loss to a lot of jobs, and it'd be a loss to a lot of our national security and control of our ports and whatnot. So politically, I don't think getting rid of the Jones Act will happen currently. And that's me reading the tea leaves. Everybody's trying to read the tea leaves of what somebody's going to do. And honestly, nobody freaking knows, right? So currently, there is 178 ships, U.S. flag ships, sailing around the world. Out of those U.S. flag ships fleet, 93 are certified for the Jones Act. That means that they're following the crew mandates, that they were built in America, that they're maintained in America, that they meet all the requirements that fulfill for the Jones Act. So that's just a little bit over half the ships in the fleet right now. So if that went away, I don't know. You guys can leave your comments below, but I think a lot of this is fear-mongering. And, the mandate for leadership from this Project 2025 has not been approved by the president. He has not endorsed it, even though I put this little something. He might pick some stuff out of it, and he might pick the whole thing. I don't know, but I'm not going to read the tea leaves so deep into society that I'm going to lose any sleep about it. If the Jones Act goes away, I think it will be devastating to the American mariner, but things change in the world, and I think everybody should be prepared for everything to change on a dime. If, one world incident and we could be going to war and all this stuff could be mute and we could be, ramping up how many mariners there are in America. You never know what could happen or what will happen, but this Project 2025 has no specific statements in there. It does not mention the Jones Act at all. So this is a lot of political rhetoric, again, that, I'm saying that they're reading into the tea leaves. They're trying to tell you how bad things in the world are going to be if Donald Trump gets reelected. Well, we survived 4 years before, and I think that no matter who's in the office, like right now, who is really our president? Nobody freaking knows, because we know it's not Joe Biden. He's not the one making these cogent decisions. This is his staff. I didn't vote for Joe Biden's staff, to run the country. He was elected. He should be our president. He should probably be out of office right now, just based on his cognitive skills. But, where we go next, I think that no matter what, our country's going to be fine. We're going to keep going forward. We got a lot of financial problems. We got a lot of drama every day. But those are all things I can't control and I don't worry about. I just go to work, do my thing, make my money, pay my bills, and live the best life that I could possibly live for me, my family, and my friends, and hopefully you guys as well. So make sure you guys like, subscribe to the channel, and we will hit you on the next one. Peace.